welcome to my show. A guest here. Her name is Catalina Murillo. Mrs. Catalina, how are you doing, ma?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Mrs. Catalina. And also, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. Firstly, you are a cancer survivor. You are also a dedicated entrepreneur. Can you please, Mrs. Catalina, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Catalina?
Yes, so right now I'm also a mother of three. I was a teen mother. Um, in 2023, I had cancer. 2024, I beat cancer. I've been cancer free for about 2 years. After having cancer, I realized that it's never too late. There's a lot of things that we all want to do. There's a lot of things on our list. I want to have a business. I want to help out. But when you feel like you have unlimited time, you don't focus on it. You always think you have tomorrow. So when I got cancer, I came to this realization that you don't have to be in a perfect place to start something. You don't have to have a lot of money to give back. You don't have to be the most business savvy person in the room to have a business. And so I realized, you start today. So that's really what that experience did to me. It made me realize that we don't always have tomorrow. And whatever it is that we want to do, if you want to give back and you have $10 to give back, you give back $10. Because I always said I want to give back, I want to have my own business. And those were things that I thought maybe I'd do in my 40s. But then having cancer made me realize I don't have to be in my 40s. I don't have to have all these things to give back or to have a business.
And one of the most important thing, you are a very, very proud mother today, a proud mother of three kids as well, which is the beauty of a person who have survived cancer and also surviving this and also seeing it as a pathway to understand how to give back as well, which gave you to the inspiration which you've had right from time to actually give back, which you are now a dedicated entrepreneur currently. And also, Mrs. Catalina, I would like to know if you've written any book. Have you written any book, or do you plan to write any book in the coming future, Mrs. Catalina? Okay.
I do plan to. I think that my story can help a lot of people. And I love that you touched on being a mother, because I would say that that is the hardest and also the role that I'm most proud of. And it also, it makes you realize that some things happen for a reason. So I was a teen mom. I got pregnant at 16 and then 19. Um, and I got married very young. And my kids, when you're young, you're thinking like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? It's a scary situation. When you're in something, you're scared. You don't know how you're going to figure things out. If I share my experiences, I can help a lot of people um, overcoming teen motherhood, cancer. There's been a lot of barriers, and so I definitely do plan on writing one in the future.
Definitely, we do hope because that would be one of the things that give more insight in regards to the perspective for people to understand how one can be empowered, most especially the women who are out there, all those that also have a lot of health challenges that still have a picture and also have the sense of hope that they can also become someone great also in the coming future as well. And I would like to drive to the area of the business idea for women because women are more of emotional and also more of fragile as well. And to be in the position whereby they can be a sense of creativity and also engage more in something that can also become something more productive in the coming future is very much huge and it's also a tax as well. So for women who could be listening and who have a very good business idea, but they really feel uncertain about where to begin. What do you think is one of the first mindset shifts they need in order to move from dreaming to doing, Mrs. Catalina?
I think that's a really good question. I think the most important mindset shift is deciding to do. I think that's what differentiates sometimes someone that does sometimes somebody gets ahead and they may not be the best at what they're doing, but they put themselves out there and they take risks. So I think it's important to remember that if you don't try, you have 0% chance to succeed. But if you try 10 times, maybe one of the 10 times is it for you. So it's also accepting failure as a part of success. I think that most entrepreneurs have had failures, they've tried different things. But everything that they've tried, it kind of it brings you one step forward and teaches you something. So whether it was a failure or a success, you learn so much. And then next time you're that much better. So it's viewing failure as a part of the process as opposed to the end all. And you know, switching into that mindset of like, if this fails, what's next? As opposed to, if this fails, that's it, you know, because most of the time businesses that do take off, it's not the first time, maybe not the second, maybe it's the third. And I think that, so that's a very important mindset for women. I think that women, we also struggle a lot with imposter syndrome. So, you know, you want to do something, but you see these people and they seem so much more qualified or so much more you know, knowledgeable about things. And so you think that you can't be that person. But really, I think it's realizing that we're all just winging it. And some of us are just, you have to have that, you know, let me just throw myself out there. And if I fail, I fail, and then I'll try again, as opposed to seeing failure as something very negative, just being willing to get back up, you know, seeing it as a numbers game. If you try 100 times, you're more likely to succeed once. If you try 0 times, you're never going to succeed. If you try once, you know, likelihood is maybe the first time won't be it, but you learn from it. And not being afraid to invest in yourself too. You know, there's so many things that I didn't know, and you learn on YouTube. I bought courses, like, you know, I don't know too much about branding. Okay, let me learn about branding. Um Not being afraid to learn, and you know, initially I think when you're running a business, you're almost everything. And so not being afraid to learn different things, get out there and seeing every failure as just one step closer.
It shows that this life is one thing, it is a journey. And the more we move on with the journey, the more we learn, the more we pay some patch through. Sometimes we think we pass a very narrow way and we continue to ask ourselves, why is it this way? Why isn't it more easier and also much more easier in this perspective that I have imagined? And to also understand this world is being programmed in a way we do not understand. And how it has been programmed is no matter what we want to do or where we want to proceed in life, failures will come and we should be ready to face it. If we do not try, then we will not have any chance to actually learn from this perspective. Most of the successful business which are out there have several failures and also several innovations that follows by it as well. So most especially as women, they should know how to try their best to come out and actually do something that they feel could be something more productive. Along the way, they learn if they even actually fail along the way as well. And also, I would like to drive to the point of challenges because when someone wants to start something, it also goes with the sense of challenges that also goes by it. So, from your experience you've had, because you're a very dedicated entrepreneur, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges women face when starting a business? And how do you think they can try more better to prepare themselves to navigate these obstacles before getting into the business, Mrs. Catalina?
Oh, so there's a few challenges that I think are really common. And the first one is what we were talking about now, just getting started and deciding. I think a lot of the time when you decide you want to have a business, a lot of people, they think they don't know what they want to do. There's so many options, there's so many things out there. Then once you decide what you want to do, and you're finding your ideal client and trying to build your brand, sometimes people tend to get stuck on the logo or the name, you know, and they rethink these little things. It could take us 1 week to say, what, you know, what's the logo? What is the logo going to be? What is the mission statement going to be? What is the name going to be? So I would say a big challenge is kind of getting stuck on these little details and not just doing it. Like, you know, just pick something, not to say pick something quickly right away, you know, make a good decision, but tell yourself, you know, I have until setting deadlines. So today I have, by today I have to choose this, by today I have to do this. so that you're always moving forward. Because I think a lot of people and me, you tend to get stuck on these little things instead of just starting something. So I would say, being more decisive, make that decision that you are going to do something, and be decisive with the logo, be decisive with what your mission statement is and who you're serving, and then just get out there. And then once you're starting the business, I think a lot of people struggle with knowing where to start. Now you decided you want to have a business. Where do you start? Where do you find leads? And in that case, I think it's really good to join communities online of people who are doing similar things to you. I would always say research branding, learn about what it is to put your brand out there, what you want people to feel, what you want them to, what you want them to, when they see your brand, what they should think, trust. And so, really, just establish who you are. I would say start there. And then, a lot of it is research and getting out there, asking questions, going to networking events, joining Facebook groups of people who are doing similar things, but not getting stuck if you're unsure about what you want to do. Um, I would say those are a few of the common challenges. And then I think that when you start growing, you kind of become everything. And I think as women, naturally, when you are getting to that growing phase and you're wearing all the hats, you're managing your content, you're doing everything, don't be afraid to delegate. When you get to that phase where you're really growing, do not be afraid to delegate and maybe hire some help, because sometimes that investment is what is bringing you to the next level. Because realistically, when you're trying to build something big, one person can't wear all the hats forever. Eventually you fail because the owner is wearing all the hats and they're not delegating pieces of the puzzle to other people. And I actually experienced that myself, where once you start growing, you're running payroll, you're managing content, you're running the ads, you're answering the leads, you're doing everything. And you get to the place where you really just you have to make that decision to start delegating things and trusting others, so that you yourself can focus on making the strategic decisions that will help you grow. So I would say, one of the grow once you're growing, one of the biggest things that I would say is not be afraid to invest into delegating tasks so that you can continue to make strategic decisions to help your business grow.
It will never be perfect most of the time. We should always try our best to do the little we know we can do, to actually give it a start. Because if we are trying to think about the ups and downs and also the things that we think we need to do to actually make it more perfect, we won't actually get the final answer. And that is why no matter the little we see right at the front of us, if we start with that little, there will always the ideas that comes along the way through the journey we are passing through the business or also the brand as well. And that is why it is one of the things that we need to understand, that no matter what we are creating, we will learn along the way. And what we've learned from will be a source of development to also make it more stronger and also more better as well. So I sincerely appreciate that beautiful insight, Mrs. Catalina. And also, I would like to drive to the people or also women who have a very, very probably their background, their education, or also the circumstances as well. All these features plays a very powerful role in every single one of their life, and also if they want to be in the point of entrepreneurship as well. So, for women who feel limited by their background, education, or circumstances, what message would you like to share about the possibilities of building something meaningful from where they are right now, Mrs. Catalina?
I would like to share that it's okay to acknowledge that sometimes our circumstances are not ideal. I definitely experienced that, when I was a teen mom. A lot of people around me, they didn't believe that I would go to college, or that I would do what I'm doing, because I was a teen mom, and that's what the statistics say. But I think that after our circumstances, and after, it's okay to acknowledge that when we may not be in the most ideal circumstances, but we also have to acknowledge our strength and our free will and our ability to push, you know? And I think as women, naturally, we're also resilient, right? We experience so many things, you know, we go through childbirth, um, in life, you know, there's so many things that we experience and we make it out of those things. So I think that, like, you know, as a woman who is a mom, I think being a mom is harder than, you know, I think being a mom and managing children every day, managing a household, I think if you can do that, you can have a business. And I think it's, you know, our circumstances are a part of the story and they do help. They either help us or they're, you know, they're not a big help. But I think that that is not the end all be all. I think, you know, if you have the resilience, you have that mindset of I am going to succeed no matter what. And you have to have that keep trying mindset. That's where that comes in. You don't need to wait until tomorrow or until you're in a certain circumstance. You do what you can with what you have in the moment. And I think that's what's important is to remember that everybody starts from somewhere. And some people might start from a place of more privilege, some people might not. But at the end of the day, there's things that we have control over, and then there's things that. And so when you separate the things that you don't have control over, like your circumstances or where you are in a specific moment, control over what you can do, right? There's people that have started businesses, movements from nothing, and it's really belief. It's also it does take a village. It does take a village, and your village isn't always going to be family. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's going online and finding communities of like-minded people who are wanting to make it out of whatever circumstances they're out of. So, what I would say is to accept what you can't change and to do what you can and not wait until tomorrow or until you're in a certain circumstance to do something, to start today. You know, if you start today, a year from now you're going to be in a completely different place than you are today. And then sometimes you are your own hero and you can be your own hero and be the person that gets you out of whatever circumstances you are out of. It's completely possible. And adopting the mindset of why me? You know, a lot of people say, why me? I'm saying, why not me? Why can't it be you? Why can't you be the person that makes it out? There's nothing that makes you less than anyone else. You are, we're all equals. We're all capable, right? And there's people that you know, I'm sure you could see people who have been in better circumstances who have made it, but also people who have been in more difficult circumstances who have made it. So there's nothing that differentiates any of us except that will and that unwillingness to give up on whatever it is you want to do.
Exactly. And also, we all have our backgrounds, we all have our knowledge, we all have our experience, we all have our strength, we all have our weakness that we do need to work on. And that is why, no matter the background we find ourselves, no matter the situation, or also community we find ourselves, it doesn't define what our outcome will be or what we want or what we want to put our hands into as well. Probably a business or something that needs to grow as well. We just need to be dedicated and also put a sense of focus and also learn along the way to grow and also become more stronger in the coming future so that we can become someone that could bring out something productive and also improve the world we find ourselves. I would also like to drive to the point of women who have a family. Just like you are a very proud mom of three. And as a mother, you have to carry a lot of responsibility. It's not like a man. A woman has to try to care for their kids and also try to maintain the family as well. And also trying their best to maintain this family, they still have to try their best to also manage the business, which would not be 100% easy. But from the experience and how you've been doing it, and also the experience you've had as well, many women could be in the position whereby they struggle with balancing family responsibilities and business ambitions. What strategies do you think can help them pursue both without feeling overwhelmed, Mrs. Catalina?
I think that when you set realistic goals, you definitely it helps you kind of organize yourself. As a mom, I understand how it is. Sometimes I am doing business from 1 in the morning until 3, 4 in the morning, because that's just the time off I had, from the kids. And I think that's a very realistic thing as a mom. It's accepting that it's not going to be easy, right? You are going, especially at first, you are going to be, you know finding those hours that you can, finding those minutes that you can to start your business. You are, and accepting that it's not going to be easy, but accepting that it's possible. And then really organizing yourself and setting realistic goals and expectations for you. So by this day, I want to have my mission statement, my brand name, and every day working a little bit towards it and seeing steady progress. Is it going to be done as quickly as someone else? Potentially, maybe not, but it's going to get done. And I think that the most important thing is to always be moving forward, and that, sometimes you won't be happy with the pace that things are going. And sometimes you won't be able to do certain things as quickly as you wanted to. I mean, I've experienced that too. But accepting that that's okay. And as long as you're growing, it's okay, and just continue on. Um it's kind of just, accepting your circumstances. And I think that as a mom, your kids really are your why. Why do you want to make the world a better place? Why do you want to, build a business that can give to your family, give you back your time eventually, and help you build more flexibility? Your kids, so while your kids sometimes, spending time with them, it can be a barrier to building your business, they're also your biggest fuel to building your business. I know that my kids have been my biggest fuel for everything that I do. And so if anything, I feel like their fuel has made me do things faster as opposed to slower, even with the little bit of time that I have left. And I see a lot of moms similarly, that even though we have less time, when we have that time, we do the most with the time that we do have. We're appreciative of that time. We don't waste our free time. So just remembering that as long as you're moving forward, it's okay. And it's not going to be linear. There's going to be time periods where you have much more free time and the kids are easier. There's going to be time periods where the kids are in activities or they're smaller and they're running around and you're so tired, and maybe you get less done. But if you got one thing done that week, you got one thing done. And then when your business starts to grow, not being afraid again of delegating so that you can buy some time back. Not being afraid to, once you start profiting a little bit, eating into that a little bit, the profits, the initial profits, so that you can get some time back and delegate things that will also, investing back into your business to so that you can grow it further.
You said it all. It can't be constant every single day. There will be ups, there will be down. And that is why we have to know how strong we are to actually become more resilient as well. Because managing the kids, I'm so glad that your kids are more of a fault for you. And also being in the position to also manage the family as well also plays a very huge role that's going to cause a lot of ups and downs. But when we have the little time that we have for the business, let us try our best to do it well and also make sure the improvements and also the growth are there as well. And with that, a lot of things will also improve and also things will also provide more growth as well in the coming future. There is also a question I normally ask during the end of the show, Mrs. Catalina. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Catalina, what do you think that thing will be, ma?
I would say for me, maybe Audrey Hepburn. She was a big humanitarian. And I think it's really important nowadays to have more people in the spotlight who are big on humanitarianism. We have a lot of entrepreneurs, we have a lot of people who are, making a name for themselves. But what I don't see as commonly is people who brand themselves as humanitarians, and whose mission really is to make a difference and improve the lives of those around you. I think that that's why I might say her, because a big part of her brand was humanitarianism. So I'd love to have a conversation about how you build a successful brand surrounding that and really raise awareness to others on the importance of giving back. I think giving back is the most important thing. I don't think that you can really succeed unless you're giving something back to others. I think that it's another fuel. It's another reason to want to do better. And I think that when you base your life around service of others, whether it's your kids, whether it's your clients and providing, good customer service, a good care, what are you solving? Is it for something positive? Do you notice that in this area people frequently have negative experience, so you want them to have good experiences or a more affordable experience? And then, do you see people that could use a hand and open up, let's say, jobs for them? I think that at the core of everything that you do, it should always be to help others, because I think when you help others, you help yourself, Of course, think about you also, but I think when you're thinking about others and when you're of service to others, you build something bigger than you. And I think that people naturally gravitate towards that. And then you realize that everybody wants to lend a hand. A lot of the times people don't know how, and I learned that gathering groups of volunteers, to give out meals. And I always say that it's crazy because people don't normally go out there and then cook for other people. But when I started gathering groups of volunteers to hand out meals, I realized that everyone around me wanted to help in one way or another. Some people wanted to lend their physical service and help cook and hand out the meals. Some people wanted to donate and help pay for the meals. And so everybody wants to. A lot of the time, they just don't know how to. So that's why I say Audrey Hepburn, because I think that she was someone that based her career on humanitarianism, and that was the forefront, although she was an actress. And so I would love to.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Catalina. Humanity is one of the greatest source of life. That is why in our historic time is one of the things that we do miss in our time today. Showing love and also giving back to the community shows that we still see the people who are also left out there and also give us a source of strength and energy to continue to thrive in the position we find ourselves. And you also said something very much beautiful. There is no feeling when we do not give back, because that is what gives us more success in everything that we do. And that is the truth about the life we find ourselves. Because whether we like it or not, we are being choose to be in a position and also to generate a lot of revenues. But we being in that position, we are also dedicated to also try our best to also do what we can do to the community and also the society at large, because that is why we are one of the reason why we are also up there and also opportune to also grow and also thrive as well. I also honestly sincerely apologize for the ups and downs, and also want to thank you for the patience, the time, the opportunity you've given to me today. Thank you so much, Mrs. Catalina.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I think it's symbolic, all the ups and downs, but we still made it. And that's really how we have to be in business and in life. So
All right, Mrs. Catalina. Have a wonderful day, ma. Bye bye.
you too. Bye.